r/Nosleep. Posted by u/Matt Gamara. Alt 3. I am a security guard in the ruins of an Inca fortress. Day 6 afternoon and Day 7. Day 6/afternoon. I arrived at the address nervous as hell. I drank so much coffee I don't even remember half of the way. I'm also pretty sure I got fined 2 or 3 times for exceeding the speed limit and I may have ran over a cyclist, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I know I probably committed some crimes, but by that point I didn't care, I just needed to see my wife. The place mentioned in the message was an arid and extremely isolated place, in a side road of a side road. My car is not a 4x4, and I had a hard time driving there, but I did it. It was arid, but not a desert. It still had some trees. 200 or 300 meters into the forest there was a seemingly abandoned barn. Oh, how the place was hot! Almost 40 degrees Celsius. When I reached the barn, after a 5 or 6 minute walk, I found its doors open. The place was dark, and the light buttons near the entrance didn't work. I used a cheap flashlight I bought along the way. There were dozens of cars abandoned in there, including a school bus. The school bus my wife was in when she disappeared. I entered it as fast as I could, but it was empty, and full of bugs and dust. And then I heard it. Screaming. Kids screaming. I wish they were ghosts like previous times. But sadly, they weren't. I followed the sound, and found a stair leading to the underground. I'd usually try to spare you from the gruesome details, but this time I can't. So if you can't handle gory stuff, be careful with this chapter. There were at least 100 people down there. Most of them had their legs and arms cut, some of them were clearly dead and decomposing, and some of them were alive, but couldn't move. The absolute majority of these people had pieces of their skin missing, and some of them had also no eyes or ears or noses. Some people were hanging from the ceiling, they had hooks on their shoulders, no eyes, their mouths and ears were sewn, their arms and legs cut, no hair, and all their genitalia was also removed. The only thing showing me they were alive was their breathing. Purified, is that you? Will you kill me already? A eyeless kid with no legs or scalp asked me, crawling with their arms. I couldn't tell if they was male or female. What the fuck is happening here? I shouted, I couldn't hold myself anymore. And then I looked to the ceiling above me. There she was. My wife. Be careful. A man with no legs in the corner of the room shouted. I looked around, and saw a man wearing a doctor's coat and a mask made completely of skin coming down the stairs, with a scalpel in his gloved hands. Well, I thought it was a mask. When he got closer, I saw his face. It was full of scars, and with several different skin tones. He wore no mask. Thought you could sneak into my office? He said, pointing his scalpel at me. At that moment, I was pretty sure I was going to die, so I had no option but to run away. He came after me, still holding that damn scalpel. I'll fix your skin too. He shouted. Well, usually the protagonist gets away in these situations. But I smoked for several years, and was pretty tired after all those days of no sleep. He perforated my back 2 times, and kicked my leg, tumbling me to the floor. Why are you doing this? I asked, as he was getting ready to stab me one final time. Each mole, each wart, each birthmark is a mortal sin in our skins. I purify myself by getting them out of our skins. He said, pointing to the different skin tones and scars in his body. I'll save myself by getting all the pure skins and putting them in my own. That's the only way of getting to heaven. Thank God I brought my lighter with me. When he got distracted talking about his delusions, I set his coat on fire, got up, and ran away. You idiot, you're ruining my perfect skin. He cried as the fire spread throughout his body. I ran to my car, hearing his angry footsteps behind me. I dared to look back. A good portion of his body was on fire, but that wasn't stopping him. I was almost reaching my car, but the eye started to fail, my lungs were aching, even with the adrenaline. I wish I never put a cigarette in my mouth. Gotcha! He screamed, as he tried to stab my chest. He stabbed me, but the scalpel got stuck in my chest. I used my basic brawling skills to punch his face and knock him down. I kicked his face 2 or 3 times just in case. He got knocked out. I'm not stupid, I didn't remove the scalpel. I didn't want to go through all the trouble just to bleed to death. So I carried on, even with the pain. It was difficult picking up my wife from the hook and putting her in my car, but I did it. I could see her accelerated breathing. She was terrified. Her eyes, tongue, eardrums, skin and limbs were removed. She only knew someone was carrying her, and only wasn't crying out of fear because she didn't have her eyes anymore. I couldn't help myself. I walked to where the killer was lying, got his cell phone, called the cops, threw it away, and then entered my car. I ran over that motherfucker's legs thrice, just in case he woke up and tried to flee. A bit of poetic justice. And then I drove off to the fortress. I reached the ruins at 23:45 of the same day. I went straight to the pit, with my wife's body in my arms. She was so thin I could see her bones. I remembered Supai words from earlier. If you call that living. He was right. My wife was dead. That wasn't life. But if Supai is a god of death, maybe he could give life too. I just had hoped he wouldn't lie to me. That he would bring her back. You did it earlier than I expected, son. Supai said, from his throne. There wasn't a chorus of hooded people this time. Just me, my wife, and him, if we can call that him. I'm so tired. Please, give her back to me. I said, sobbing. I was almost sleeping, feeling my eyes closing. But the will to save my wife was bigger. Remember our deal, Javier. We are not friends, just business partners. I need something from you. And if you give it to me, she'll be back to you, with all of her ripped parts back. What do you need? I asked, feeling the tears going down my cheeks. I need you to kill Arnaldo Celeste. Excuse me? Arnaldo Celeste, the representative of the South American branch of the Foundation. The Foundation? Which one? You're not stupid, Javier. You know which one I'm talking about. Arnaldo sent you a letter 2 days ago, don't you remember? Go to his office and kill him. He won't be prepared for that, and will succumb easily. Your wife will be back if you do that. And what if I don't? In this case, not only I'll not give your wife back, I'll also put you in the same situation as her. Living in eternal darkness, alone, scared, not feeling anything, and worst of all, alive. So, when you finish the 10 days, go there and kill him. And just in case you don't believe I can bring your wife back. He moved his hand in a strange manner, and I felt a small pain on my chest and back. The knife had disappeared, and the stabbing injuries were healed. After that, I just went home. I didn't say anything. Was so tired I couldn't. The radio was saying something about a serial killer being arrested in the countryside. I couldn't care less. Just need to sleep. I'll update you after I finish sleeping. Day 7. I arrived at work at 14:10, a bit after the start of my shift at 10 o'clock, but by that point I didn't care. It was raining, so we had far less tourists than common. Well, actually, we had uncommon tourists. There was a group of men with fedora hats, sunglasses and black suits collecting things from the supervisor's cabin and talking to Hector. He had a different uniform this day. Hey, what's going on? I said, as I noticed those people were installing cameras all over the place. Your level of clearance is not high enough for me to explain, Javier. Just kidding, we are installing cameras because the paranormal activity has increased significantly in the last week. Probably all-time highest. If it gets worse, we're probably going to close the dangerous areas of the site. Hector, what's with that suit? I was promoted. I'm your supervisor now. What happened to? Oh, shit. Yeah. It sometimes happen in our line of business. I'm used to it. Javier, when the men in black are gone, come to my office. I need your help with something again. He said. I tried to say something too, but he was called by one of the men in black and entered his office. 3 hours later, the suited people left. I entered Hector's office a bit nervous. Last time I did what he wanted I had a lot of trouble with the night inhabitants. He was sitting at his desk, with a joint in his mouth and looking into some files. All of them had that weird symbol of a circle and arrows I'd seen earlier. Some of them were clearly curriculums, marked with the words verified below the concurrence photo. Why didn't you come to work yesterday, Javier? He said, with smoke coming out of his mouth. I didn't realize I didn't work the previous day. I spent all day rescuing my wife from that freak and then taking her to Supai. Why the police found all the people in the bus but your wife? I don't know. I know you denounced the killer and ran over his legs, Javier. I know you took your wife with you. I honestly don't care where you took her. I just need to know one thing. How the fuck did you got to know she was there? He finished his joint. The demon is doing all of this, right? Don't believe him. He's lying to you. But it's too dangerous for me to say anything more here. Can we talk inside the safe room? Or outside the ruins? Okay. At the shift's end, meet me in the cafeteria. Same from last time, at the city. Don't talk to anyone about this and don't risk your life until you've talked with me. Something extremely bad is happening here in this place. I noticed he was already smoking another joint and had a worried expression. Well, nothing paranormal happened at first. The talk among everyone was about the barn mutilator or whatever they called that maniac. Ironically, half of his skin was burned, and they had to amputate one of his legs. The police eventually called my phone. They said they needed to talk to me. But the only thing I didn't understand is why hadn't anyone mentioned to the police I had rescued my wife and taken her away. Anyway, half an hour before my shift ended, when I was drinking a cup of coffee, Samir and Victoria suddenly entered the garita. "Javier, we know this is a hard subject and you're leaving in 3 days, but we want to say we're sorry," Victoria said. I never saw her so engaged to a conversation before. "Yes. I've also lost a family member 10 years ago, I know how hard it is. I'm sorry," Samir said. I didn't know how to answer them. "We're sorry about your wife," Samir said. "But she disappeared years ago, folks. She's probably still alive, that maniac from the barn didn't kill all of them." "Oh. So we're the first ones to deliver the news, right?" When Victoria said that, I had a sudden urge to throw up. I left the garita in angst, in shock and denial, ignoring they talking behind me. No. That couldn't be true. It couldn't. That motherfucker from the pit had tricked me. "This can't be true," I said sobbing, and fell to the grass like a stupid child. And then I heard footsteps behind me. I looked back. A very tall, completely white, faceless, humanoid creature was coming straight into my direction from the middle of nowhere. It was just walking, slowly. I immediately ran to the security shack, where Samir and Victoria were. "Hey, guys, what the fuck is that?" The tears of horror were replacing those of sadness. "There's nobody there, Javier. Are you okay?" Samir asked. "Maybe it's the shock," Victoria said while playing Candy Crush. No. Wait, there was a rule in the special security measures. I closed the door with my key and opened my manual. "Measurements. Yes, they used the wrong word," said Samir. "Oh, it's the stalker, Javier. He never showed up to employees so recently hired before. Did you broke rules or annoyed? Whatever is behind all of this?" Victoria asked. "I don't know. Shit. Why can't I contact our supervisor or go into the SAF?" I was about to finish that sentence when the safe room door was broken to pieces and a person wearing what seemed like an ancient mining suit came out. "What the fuck? They've never invaded the garita before," Samir said with obvious panic in his voice. "Damn cell phones," the miner said. He had a pickaxe in his hands. Victoria barely had time to react. I opened and jumped out of the window while Samir escaped through the door. I couldn't follow his route, the stalker was on it. I saw the hooded people again, but this time they weren't so peaceful, they were menacingly walking in my direction. I ran to my car listening to Victoria's screams of agony and distance. When I reached the parking lot, only Samir's, Victoria's and my cars were there. Samir wasn't there yet, and the way he took was far faster than the one I had to take. I looked back a final time. I think I was hoping to see him. I didn't, I just saw the miner, covered in blood, running after me. I entered the car and immediately started it, seeing he coming closer and closer, and then stomped on the accelerator. I looked back to see if I managed to get rid of him. There was a pickaxe carved in the vehicle's ceiling. Even after getting rid of those monsters or whatever they were, I still felt a weird feeling, a weird presence with me. I tried to resist it for almost an hour, but I failed, and looked to the car's internal mirror. On the back seat, completely naked, was my wife. "You were going to betray me with Hector, weren't you?" She had Supai's voice. "What the fuck is wrong with you?" I braked and quickly left my car, walking without direction in the foggy night road. I heard an old man laughing behind me. He was already by my side. "Oh, poor Javi boy. What are you going to do now? Get into the safe room? It was destroyed. Call your supervisor? I killed her. And even if someone replaces her, you can't contact them when I unleash the stalker. It's in the rules," he said, trying to contain his laughter. I turned around to look at him. He was with his classical form this time. I assume that's his true one. "Didn't you want me to kill Celeste? I didn't do anything. I didn't betray you. Why are you doing all of this? Please, I just want to work 10 days and leave," I said, no longer holding the tears. "Yes. It was going to be so funny. You were going to kill Celeste, just to find out your wife was dead all along. And then I'd bury you with her. Or resuscitate her and kill her again in front of your eyes. But you ruined it all. He seemed extremely angry, but enjoying every single moment of it. Then who will kill him for you, you fucking asshole? I asked, no longer sad or scared, but furious. I never needed you to do anything. I can do it all myself, I was just feeling lazy. But your near betrayal angered me enough to make me get up. He was suddenly ran over by a car and thrown away. Samir, with half of his face covered in blood, opened the door. He didn't need to tell me anything, I was already in. The car sprinted through the road at a speed at least 3 times higher than the maximum permitted. I've already called Hector, he'll get in contact with his chief. Samir said, concentrated on the road. I hope he's fast enough. If he's not, the janitors and the tourists will show up at the mountain tomorrow. We should focus on surviving, Javier. That thing is coming after us. After all of us. He's not that powerful outside the mountain, is he? Is there anywhere for us to hide? I don't know. Only Hector's organization knows about that, and I'm not a member. He got offended when I refused to join and stopped talking to me. Probably he just picked up the phone because he's the supervisor now. Then I need to ask him. Don't. The stalker is after you. Get rid of him first. I'm taking you to the nearest cemetery. It's almost day 8 now, although I don't believe I'll get to work anymore. I'm using the time I have before we arrive at the cemetery to write this. Wish me luck.